Sisters, hear my plea, oh let me win. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First thing first, can you guess what kind of story that I would like to bring on? A red cloak and no ears? I'll tell you after this. My name is Astrid Ifah Angreni, and I'm from Senior High School 1 Maros, and I would like to present you the folklore of Little Red Riding Hood. And please enjoy. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in the village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl always wore a red riding cloak, so everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go to visit her grandmother, as it had been a while since they had seen each other. That's a good idea, her mother said, so they packed a nice basket for Little Red Riding Hood to take to her grandmother. And when the basket was ready, the little girl put on her red cloak and kissed her mother goodbye. Remember, go straight to Grandma's house, her mother cautioned. Don't dawdle along the way, and please do not talk to strangers. The woods are very dangerous. Don't worry, Mommy, I'll be careful. But when Little Red Riding Hood noticed some lovely flowers in the woods, she forgot her promise to her mother. She picked a view, watched the butterflies flit about for a while, listened to the frogs croaking, and then picked a view more. Little Red Riding Hood was enjoying the warm summer day so much that she didn't notice a dark shadow approaching out of the forest behind her, and suddenly a wolf appeared beside her. Oh! What are you doing, little girl? The wolf asked in a voice as friendly as it could muster. Into the woods to Grandma's house. I'm on my way to see my grandma, who lived to row in the forest near the brook. And then she realized how late she was and quickly excused herself, rushing down to the path to her grandma's house. And the wolf, in the meantime, took a shortcut. The wolf, a little out of breath from running, arrived at Grandma's and knocked lightly at the door. Oh, thank goodness, dear. Come in, come in. I was worried to say that something had happened to you in the forest, said Grandma, thinking that the knock was her granddaughter. The wolf let himself in, and poor Granny didn't have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf let out a satisfied bird and then poked her Granny's wardrobe to find a nightgown that he liked. He added a frilly-looking cap, and for a good measure, dabbed some Granny's perfume behind his pointy ears. And a few minutes later, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf jumped into the bed and pulled the covers over his nose. Who is it? He called in a cackly voice. It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, how lovely. Do come in, my dear, croaked the wolf. And when Little Red Riding Hood entered the little cottage, she could scarcely recognize her grandmother. Grandmother, why your voice sounds so good? Is something the matter? Said Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, I just have a touch of a cold, squawked the wolf, adding a cough at the end to prove the point. But, Grandmother, what big ears you have, said Little Red Riding Hood as she edged closer to the bed. The better to hear you with, my dear, replied the wolf. But, Grandmother, what big eyes you have, said Little Red Riding Hood. The better to see you with, my dear, replied the wolf. But, Grandmother, what big teeth you have, said Little Red Riding Hood, her voice quivering slightly. Roar! The better to eat you with, my dear, roared the wolf, and he leapt out of the bed and began to chase the little sugar, and almost too late, Little Red Riding Hood realized that the person in the bed was not her grandmother, but the hungry wolf. She ran across the room through the door, shouting, "Help! Help!" as loudly as she could. The woodsman, who was chopping the logs nearby, heard her cry and ran toward the cottage as fast as he could. He grabbed the wolf and made him spit out the poor grandmother, who was a bit frazzled by the whole experience but still in one piece. "Oh, Grandma, I was so scared," sobbed Little Red Riding Hood. "I'll never speak to strangers or dawdle in the forest again, Mother said, strike ahead, not to delay or be misled." I should hit her advice, but ladies and gentlemen, the wolf, he seemed so nice. And he showed me things, many beautiful things that I hadn't thought to explore. They were off my path, so I never had dare. I had been so careful that I never had care. And he made me feel excited, both excited and scared. When he said, "Come in with the sickening rain," how could I know what was in store? Once his teeth were bare, so I really got scared, both excited and scared. When he chased me close and he swallowed Grandma down the dark, slimy path, realized secrets that I never want to know. And when everything familiar seemed to disappear forever at the end of the path was running once again, so we lie in the dark. We came and set us free, Mr. Woodsman, and we brought us the light, and we're back at the start. And I know things now, many valuable things that I hadn't known before. Do not put your faith in the cape and hood. They will not protect you the way that they should. And the extra cat with strangers, even flowers have their danger, so the scary is exciting, oh nice. It's different than good. There, child, you have learned an important lesson. Thank goodness you shouted loud enough for this kind woodsman to help you. The woodsman knocked out the wolf and carried him deep down into the forest when he never bothered people any longer. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother had a nice lunch and a long time. The end. So I think it's completely enough for me. The wrong utterances are just my limitation of my ability, and the right one is merely from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So I beg your pardon and thank you for paying attention. I'm Astrid Ifah Angreni. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.